Hi, everyone. So, as we progress and we review today Newton's first law and moved on to his second law of motion, I think it might help if we explain some important vocabulary words and follow along as Mrs. Krieger reads a little deeper. So, our science books are great, but this adds more detail to all of Newton's laws of motion. So, as I read his second law of motion, you're going to pay attention to this word accelerate. Accelerate means it's a change in velocity. Well, velocity is the speed, the actual speed in any given direction. So if velocity is the speed, and accelerate means it's the change in the velocity or the speed, okay? Now, Newton's second law of motion. He focuses on unbalanced force. So when an unbalanced force acts upon an object, it changes its speed and sometimes its direction. An object at rest will move. An object in motion will slow or stop. Well, velocity is the speed in a given direction. A change in velocity is an acceleration. Unbalanced forces causes objects to accelerate. If an unbalanced force acts in the same direction as the object that's moving, it will make it go faster or accelerate. When an unbalanced force acts in the opposite direction of the object, it will slow it down or decelerate. If an unbalanced force acts sideways to the direction the object's moving, it will change direction. So his second law here is all about the word force, mass, and acceleration. How quickly does an object can accelerate depends upon a few things. It depends on the size of that unbalanced force and the mass of the object to which that unbalanced force is being applied. An example would be a shopping cart. What would happen if you changed the amount of force? Okay, force is a push or a pull that you are exerting on that shopping cart. In this case, when you are moving a shopping cart, you are pushing that cart. That's the force. So if you change the amount of force when you're pushing on the cart, but you're not changing the mass of the cart, what would happen? Well, the cart's going to accelerate at a greater speed. If you care less and let things fall out of the cart, its mass would decrease, which would make that cart go faster. So the more mass that cart has, the more objects, it's going to be a bigger force for you to push that shopping cart, making it harder for you to do. Newton's second law of motion states that an object's acceleration depends on its mass and the force acting on it. Newton also developed a mathematical formula for calculating this. His formula says force is mass times acceleration, or just shorten it, F is m times a. The a stands for acceleration. It's measured in meters per second squared. You can shorten it by saying m per s squared. Mass is measured in the unit grams or kilograms. When we are trying to figure out the force, okay, it's named after our scientist here, Sir Isaac Newton. So its unit of measurement is Newton, or abbreviated as a capital N. So in his second law of motion, you should have learned an unbalanced force causes objects to accelerate. Acceleration depends on the mass of the object and the size of the force. Newton's second law of motion says that an object's acceleration depends on the mass and the force being applied to it. So in his equation, F is m times a, ladies and gents, if you are really mathematical and you are good in math, I would love for you to do these math equations. And I want everyone to attempt to find the force, which we know is measured in newtons. So you will have some problems and try to see if you can figure out and use that equation F equals m times a. But as a fifth grader, you just need to know Newton's laws of motion and what they mean. When you get to middle school science and physics, you'll absolutely be using this formula more than you are in fifth grade. But I want everyone to give it a try and use the equation. So good luck.